James arrived home late at night. He unlocked his front door and stepped into the darkness of the apartment.
I'm in the bedroom. There's been a power cut.
James was surprised, but happy to hear his girlfriend's voice. She'd been away for a few days on a business trip.
Okay, I'll be right there.
He stumbled through the darkness and into the bedroom. He carefully made his way over to the bed before sitting down.
Hey, sweetheart.
He said as he felt his girlfriend's arm wrap around him.
Jesus, Abigail. You're freezing.
He shuddered as he felt her cold skin against him.
I know. The heating has been off for hours. Come on, baby. Get in bed and help me warm up.
Attempting to put on a cute voice, James got undressed and placed his phone on the bedside table before climbing into bed. He removed his glasses and moved closer to Abigail. He was startled for a moment when his phone began to ring. He picked it up and looked at it, but didn't recognize the number. He brought it to his ear and answered.
Hello?
Hey, honey. It's me. I'm still at the airport. I couldn't get that flight, but I'll be able to get one soon. I'll probably be home by morning. Hello? James?
He felt an icy hand grip his shoulder. Almost everyone has had a moment of deja vu. Going about your business, you travel to school or to work, or simply strolling through the place you call home when something catches your attention. You're sure you've seen it before, yet you're unable to recall when or where. You dismiss it, convinced that your memory is playing tricks on you. You convince yourself that it's simply a vague recollection of a similar past event. 9 times out of 10, you will be correct. But once in a while, the deja vu will leave behind an uneasiness that nestles itself in the back of your head. When you tell your friends or family, they too dismiss it as a figment of your imagination. You pay no more heed to it, pushing the restlessness to the far reaches of your consciousness. There it will sit, unattended by the safeguards of your mind. At the end of the day, you'll go to bed with a self-imposed idea of safety, fully believing that whatever you felt will pass after a night's sleep. The next day you wake, feeling refreshed. The world is as it always has been, or so it would seem. The deja vu has already slipped from your memory, and you can even recall what the uneasiness felt like. You drink your coffee or tea, do your usual morning rituals, say farewell to the day to your family, and then you go to school or work. But as the door closes behind you, there are faint whispers. They fade with each step forward you take, and while you believe you can just make out their meaning, you again dismiss it as an overactive imagination.
He doesn't remember.
They say with an unearthly low volume.
My dear, he will never remember.
This actually happened to me a few years back at the University of the Arts in Philadelphia. My sophomore year, I roomed with a girl named Kara. She was a jazz vocalist, but her main interest was opera. We had a small room on the 6th floor of a dormitory called Juniper Hall. The walls were thin, and her late-night singing and voice practices would keep me up late. After a month or so of lost sleep, I convinced her to move her late-night practices to the music studios in the Merriam Theater building a block away. Around 8 o'clock one evening, Kara announced that she would be practicing late for an upcoming recital and probably wouldn't be home until around midnight. Great, I thought. That means I can go to bed early. I was beat. I had a horrible day in acting studio and I was ready to pass out as soon as I had dinner. She said goodnight and left, coffee and sheet music in hand. I made some grilled cheese and soup, gobbled it down, and immediately began to prepare for bed. By the time I got out of the shower, my eyelids were so heavy I could hardly brush my teeth. I pulled on my PJs and crawled into the top bunk of our bunk bed. I was out as soon as my head hit the pillow. I should take a second to describe the layout of our apartment. When entering the apartment, the bedroom was through a door immediately to the left. Our bathroom was inside the bedroom, just past the bunk beds. UArts is nice in the sense that you don't have to share bathrooms. Anyway, I woke up to the sound of the apartment door closing. I opened my eyes and groggily checked my phone. Midnight on the dot. I rolled back over and closed my eyes. I heard Kara enter the room and stop in front of the bunk bed. Checking to see if I'm actually asleep, I thought. She flopped down on the bed below me, which was strange, as she was a stickler for brushing her teeth and washing up before bed. Then again, exams were just around the corner and we were all exhausted. The mattress below me creaked and then was silent. I couldn't even hear her breathing. I started to drift off again. I was just on the edge of deep sleep when I was startled awake again by a noise. A key in the lock, the door opening, and Kara entering our apartment, humming an opera tune. The mattress below me creaked.
I was in my bedroom, doing the typical at-home teenager thing. Staying up late, digging around the depths of the internet, and generally not paying attention to anything other than what was on my monitor. It was the early morning, around 2 o'clock, and everyone in my house was asleep but me. The room was nice and warm despite it being the dead of winter, since we had the windows replaced last week. We had been losing heat, especially in my bedroom, through some old storm windows, but the bitter cold was now kept outside. I don't remember what I was doing. I think in the terror that consumed me I must have forgotten. I heard a noise at my window. Not the sound of a bug flying into it or the shrubs brushing against it. No, this was an odd noise. A thumping sound. Something I had never heard before. I didn't think anything of it initially. Whether that was because I genuinely believed it was nothing, or because I didn't want to find out what it was, I can't say, but I sat there for a moment and just listened to it. It was distinctly rhythmic. Thump, thump, thump. It only lasted 15 seconds or so and then stopped. I shuddered but shrugged it off, and after spending another hour or two browsing and consciously not looking towards the window, turned my computer off and fell into an uneasy but uneventful sleep. This morning, after the sun had been up for a few hours and the things that go bump in the night were doing whatever they do during the daylight hours, I walked to my window and spent a few minutes trying to replicate the sound I had heard. I tapped the window, bumped it with some soft objects, even locked and unlocked it, but I couldn't for the life of me figure out what had made the sound. Nothing I did was even close. I figured that the event had been a fluke and the day was normal until this evening. My dad arrived home from work at the usual time and decided that the house was too stuffy, so he came into my room and went to open the window. We're in Texas, so winter evenings are sometimes very comfortable, as was the case today. Never in my life before that moment have I genuinely wished to be deaf. My dad forgot to unlock the window before trying to open it, and when he pulled up, it produced the same noise I heard last night. My window only has handles on the inside.